Words and own statement. That's all he's going to say for now on it, and then we'll take some questions obviously about the game as we start building up to it tomorrow, and then we'll, obviously after Ben has spoken, we'll go to James Cole from Sky Sports News, and then over to you.
Okay. Just before I go, I just want to obviously make it clear that I have not read the report as it only came out last night, just before I get going. To the people involved in the game who have been made to feel unwelcome or unaccepted in the past, I'm deeply sorry to hear of your experiences. Cricket is a game that needs to celebrate diversity on all fronts, because without diversity, this game would not be where it is at today. As a sport, we need to learn from past mistakes and do all we can to make people feel safe and be themselves at every level. I have been an England player since 2011, and I feel very fortunate to have been a part of some incredibly diverse teams and love how everyone has a different story to tell. We must go further and be more inclusive and diverse, because the game I love and the millions worldwide love should be enjoyed without fear of discrimination or judgment, whether that be due to your upbringing, race or gender. As I said earlier, everyone has a different story to tell. I am Ben Stokes, born in New Zealand, a state-educated pupil who dropped out of school at 16 with 1 GCSE in PE. I needed help with the spelling and grammar in this speech, and I am currently sitting here as the England men's Test captain. It is clear there is so much more the game has to do, and as players we really want to be a part of that to ensure that this is truly a sport for everyone.
Thanks, Ben. Over to you, James.
Ben, just before we talk about cricket, you mentioned playing a part. What part do you feel you can play as players?
I've just said that will be my only answer for now.
Okay, let's talk about the team then. You've named Josh Tongue in for Moeen Ali. What's the thinking?
Yeah, look, I think we needed to sort of get to Lords first and see what conditions we were faced with. We wanted to play Mark Wood, but we felt that he could definitely start the game, but with conversations, we felt the extra week with build-up and getting his loads up would give him a better chance and an opportunity to play a full part from Leeds onward. And we brought Tungy into the team as a like-for-like for Woody, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Tungy continue on his great start he had against Ireland here.
Yeah, it's a bigger occasion. How do you think he's going to handle it?
Yeah, I think that's the point, is that the only thing that's different is just it's a bigger occasion for him. You know, he's had his first Test match, he's had his debut game, which he's had huge success from. So, yeah, I think coming in and being able to use him as a fourth seamer role is something that I'm very looking forward to him being able to do, and I think he's really looking forward to the challenge as well.
Four seamers, no spinner. Why in particular?
Well, we just, as I said at the start, we turned up here at Lords and we seen there was quite a lot of grass on the wicket, a bit green. So traditionally Lords has offered more for the seamers, and you know, obviously with how Mo's finger was last week, it's actually recovered really well. But we just thought that we would get more out of our fourth bowler being Josh Tongue this week.
And how's the knee? You feeling good?
Yeah, recovered really well. Last week was a huge confidence boost for me. In all the build-up, it was in a sort of controlled environment around just training without, you know, having to stand in the field or, you know, back days up. And being able to bowl sort of that longer spell on the last day was another confidence boost for me. So, you know, at the moment things are looking good, and hopefully I can play an even more part with the ball this game.
Ollie Robinson's sledging of Usman Khawaja has gained traction since Edgbaston. What have you made of the reaction from some former Australian players questioning his pace and his ability?
I mean, what's Ashes cricket without a little bit of, you know, comments from past players? I mean, it's not the only time where, you know, emotions of professional sport has, you know, came out in that form. But look, I think Ollie Robinson's the sixth best bowler in the world. He's averaging 21 with the ball. That's all I think I really need to say on that, to be honest.
How's he dealt with the attention? Have you spoken with him, or will you tell him to maybe rein it in, or what's your feeling?
No, look, I think Ollie Robinson sort of, you know, doesn't let stuff like that affect him. You know, he's been a quality performer every time he's walked onto the field for England, and his performances have proven that. But no, I definitely won't be having a word with him saying, you know, rein yourself in, because, you know, you don't want to take something away from a player that, you know, gets the best out of them. He loves the competition, and it's professional sport. You know, emotions are high, it's in ashes. It was a moment where we really needed a desperate breakthrough, and he was the man to get that.
And finally from me, you're 1-0 down in the series. I know you talk about the process being more important than the result, but what's going to be the approach here, in particular in terms of this attacking mentality?
Just more of the same. Look, I've said it for a long time now that we found a way of cricket which brings the best out of us as a team. You know, we're not always going to be on the right side of results, and that goes the same for every team, regardless of the way that they play. But you know, we found huge success in our mentality and the way that we go out and take the game on. So things won't change.
Joe, go ahead.
Ben, I know that what's always been in your heart with the England team is to make cricket a sport that people get excited by, and in that way, that's how you lead and bring people to the game. But when you go out onto the field, I mean, you accept that your role models beyond that, I think, Ben. I mean, that's in your thought as well, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I think everything that I do as a captain, the decisions I make is always with the thought of the decision I make now is something that I think is going to influence a win for England. I'm not always going to make the right decision. You know, if I always made the right decision, it'd be pretty boring. But you know, as long as I'm always staying true to myself, which sometimes it is quite difficult to do. But when I rethink about it again, I go with what you know, I think is best for the team at that moment in time. You know, I'm not arrogant enough to expect everyone to agree with what I do and the things that we do out on the field. But what I have been able to do, I think, is make the 10 other guys out in the field and everyone else in the squad really believe in what we go out there and try and do, whether that be with bat or ball.
Because you've got guys like Ollie Robinson you were just referring to, who might naturally feel that they want to be aggressive and in your face, as it were, and you might well have guys who would not feel natural about doing that. So you see it as really sort of allowing them to be themselves, however they want to be, when they're actually out on the pitch, even in the Ashes.
I couldn't answer that any better than what you just said, to be honest.
Lovely. And I heard your statement, and absolutely I know the thought and time that's gone into that, Ben, but do you hope that this report and this moment might actually lead to meaningful change across the game?
Yeah, it definitely should, yeah.
And best way of doing that?
Go back to my statement.
Thanks for your time.
No worries.
Who else would like to speak? Rory, go ahead.
Ben, you since you've been captain, you have lent hard into Jack as a spinner, and then you brought Moeen. I guess you will be able to use Joe, but will it present a different challenge in how you manage the 11 and manage the innings when you don't have a sort of a frontline spinner to rely on?
Yeah, look, I mean, it was a huge loss for us losing Leachy for the series. He's been an integral part of everything that we've been able to achieve, you know, up until now. But look, it's, you know, the 11 that we've picked is the 11 that we've picked, and I've got to try and make that work. And I firmly believe that, you know, we picked a very, very strong 11, and it'll be up to me and sort of the other 10 guys out there to try and force a win. But what Joe showed last week is that his bowling has sort of been someone who you throw the ball to, or he's given himself the ball to just bowl the odd over here and there and maybe try and get a breakthrough. But you know, he's gone from strength to strength, and the more responsibility that I've tried to give him with the ball, I think, has brought out another side of Joe. You know, so it's great having someone like that who also averages 50 with the bat. So yeah, it's always nice.
And in this dressing room that you've put together since you've been in charge, character and personality is a part of it, and how they go about the cricket. You didn't know Josh particularly well, or maybe hadn't met him before the Ireland Test. What did you see in Josh in those first few meetings, that first week of knowing him, that sort of told you he could sort of step out in the heat of an Ashes series and step up?
I mean, I was particularly impressed, especially in-game moments where he played different roles with the ball. You know, his first spell was just sort of running up and bowling, and you know, sort of just trying to bowl wicket-taking deliveries, and then we used them in a different way where, you know, we sort of attacked the island batsmen with our short ball plan, and you know, it's always a lot nicer. Well, Brody and Jimmy and Robbo will tell you, it's nice having someone who can bowl at 90 mile an hour doing it. So yeah, I think just having that versatility as as a bowler this week is going to be very useful.
Okay, we'll go Dan Bretton and then Julian Gale.
G'day, Ben. Just a question about, I suppose, coming out of Edgbaston and into this match. It seems it's less about changing your philosophy than just getting the little things right or doing some of the little things better than the first test. And on the back of that, do you draw much on how you bounced back against South Africa last year when you were 1-0 down and put together a performance?
Yeah, I think you can always look back in the game and say, could we have done the little things better? But I think we all know as players that we probably could have. But no one makes a mistake on purpose. We played some great cricket that whole game, and unfortunately when it came to the moment, we weren't able to get over the line. But the cricket in which we played and the way in which we took the game on to Australia was very, very good, and just a continuation of what we've done. And we stay very true to ourselves as a team and how we want to operate. I find myself saying that a lot these days, but that's just how England are playing at the moment, and we're going to stick to it.
We'll go Julian, then Scott, and then Dan.
So yes, Ben, just following on from that, was there anything you sort of felt you learnt in particular from Edgbaston?
I wish I could come back to you in half an hour with a good answer there. I guess the obvious answer is to say, every day is a learning day. I find myself sort of going, there's no such thing as a bad day in sport, because you can always learn from even your mistakes or whatever it is. But no, I'm sure there is if I sat myself down and had a real deep think about an analysis of the game, I would be able to give you a good answer, but I can't really, to be honest. Sorry.
And how close was Mark Wood to playing this game, and are you at all concerned by the fact you're not able to play him here?
Yeah, look, me and Mark are great friends. We go back a long way, and it's good to be able to have conversations, individually with these guys. And I sort of spoke to him how I would want him to operate in this game, and he was very honest with me in saying that he wasn't sure if he would be able to give, what he's known for throughout this test match. So the decision was made to just, let him keep building his body up and giving him the best opportunity to go out from Leeds onwards to play a full part in a test match.
Thank you.
Scott from AAP, and then we'll finish with Dan.
Ben, do you think that Stuart Broad comes into this test with an advantage or a psychological edge over Marnus Labuschagne at all, after getting him twice with the outswinger at Edgbaston, and I guess to a lesser extent Steve Smith as well?
I don't know. Cricket's it's a fickle game sometimes, isn't it? He was the number one batter in the world, and then Brodie nicks him off twice, and players like that don't miss out too often. Brodie produced 2 unbelievable deliveries, and it's always great to see the back of Marnus Labuschagne and Steve Smith very early. But quality players, always find a way to bounce back. But we won't be reading too much into it. But it's nice knowing that maybe there might be something there for Marnus. But these quality players, they always find a way to bounce back. But yeah, it's nice knowing that Brodie's got that away swinger going.
Dan, Code Sport, last one, please.
Ben, clearly you play an aggressive brand regardless of who the bowler is, but it appeared you sort of particularly were aggressive towards Scott Boland in the last test. Was that a premeditated plan, and do you expect if he gets selected for this test that you'll target him again?
I don't know if I would say we purposely targeted Scott over any other bowler, but what I think we did manage to do really well is put sort of pressure on Scott to consistently deliver his best ball, because you look at his record, he's been incredibly successful, and for us to apply the pressure back onto him with his best ball, which he constantly tries to bowl, I thought was very impressive from our batsmen. And sort of that was the game plan that we took with sort of all the bowlers, is to try and put as much pressure as he possibly can on their best delivery throughout the test match, and that's something that we will always try to do, but also understanding that there are times in a test match where you do need to absorb the pressure, where the opposition is going to be going through a good phase throughout the game, and we need to absorb that. But then when we feel it's time to put it back on, then we will.
Brilliant, thank you. Cheers, Ben.
Thanks, guys.
We'll do the separate UK